I've started the screen recording. So please, like I said yesterday, you cannot use your phone to do this program. You need a laptop. All right. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Then I'll show you what the alternative is instead of installing Anaconda. For me, I have Anaconda. I have Anaconda installed, so I don't need that. So, and I believe you can all see my screen. So this is the Anaconda interface. It looks something like this. After a successful installation, we have a lot of softwares under it, but our focus is on Jupyter Notebook, this one. Okay, so I'll launch it, but I might not use it today since not all of us have it. Okay, so the installation is kind of difficult a bit, as in getting to the closer part of it, but once it's been installed, there won't be much stress on it. So that's the Jupyter Notebook. That's what we are going to be using. And the advantage is that even when you don't have data, you can still work online. Okay, I mean it's local host. Okay, it will behave as if you are online. I'm saying that in layman terms, so for you to understand. But the alternative is we could have Google Code Lab, which we might look at it today. So it's more or less like the Jupyter Notebook, but then it's a cloud based. Okay, it's a software that resides on the internet. Okay, so it has almost all the features of the uh, Anaconda Jupyter Notebook, but it's online. Okay, so that one, if you don't have data, you cannot access it. That's the disadvantage. But with the Anaconda, even with the Anaconda, with data you can still use it. Without data you can still use it. Okay, so I've opened mine here, and this is what we are going to look at. So I will post the link on the chat section so that you can copy it, or okay, so you can copy it, or you can Google Code Lab. Okay, Code Lab Python, like this. Okay, then you select this one, the Google Research. Okay, so I'll click on it, then I'll copy, but make sure you've signed in your account. Okay, they'll ask you to select whatever, but you can cancel it. Click anywhere to cancel if you have a page like this. So I'll copy this, and I'll paste it on the chat section so that you can all have it. I don't have to be doing this. From today onwards, I'll share the invite on your email. So yes, I'm recording. So this is it. So when you click on it, it will lead you to the Code Lab. Please, every one of you should do that, and let me know if you're having challenges. Let me know, and if you're able to do that too, you can let me also know, so that I'll know the progress. Who is that? The person should mute himself. So that is it on the chat section. For the sake of those who join us, I'll copy it again and paste it. So if you have not been able to install the Anaconda, you can use the Colab. Okay, it's an online platform that you can also write your code there. And at the end of I'm recording, so I'll share the video with you after the the class, and also the PDF of what we've done so far. All right. Please let me know if you have done that, and if you're having a challenge, to let me know before I proceed. Why you people can't hear me or what? Amana. We can hear you clearly. Yeah. Have you been able to get to the code lab? Yeah. Yeah, but the disadvantage, one disadvantage of the code lab is that if your internet is not strong, it will delay. And please make sure you log in into your Google account. Alright, so those who just joined, if so, what we are doing is that we are finding alternative to the Anaconda. Okay, so I'm going to paste a link in the chat section, which will lead you to a platform called Google Code Lab, and we can write our code and run everything there online. Unlike the Anaconda, where we have to do everything offline. Yeah, because the Anaconda also have some technicalities with the installation. So for the meantime, we are trying to use the code lab. For the meantime, we are trying to use the code lab. So when you open it, you have something like this. But for the first time, it will ask you to upload, but go to cancel. So Zach, go to cancel. Please, if you have any question, you can ask here. If you DM me, that means I have to stop here and come and answer you on WhatsApp. You know, it's gonna be a little bit of distracting. Can I go ahead? Alright, I say I should take my time. You could just Google Colab like this. Google Colab. And then you have it like this. Okay. But make sure you sign in your Google account. So you can click on new notebook. Then it will send you to the place. Hello, Sami. Yes, sir. So I suggest that you tell them to divide their screen so that they will not navigate between the and also the collab. Oh, okay, that's fine. So please, you can minimize the screens. Okay, you can minimize the screens. Then you divide it into two. So something like this. Okay, something like this. Then you have it this way. So the meat is at one place. Then you can open two browsers, no problem. Okay, this way, so that you can concentrate. Because switching to can make you delay a little bit. Please, I'll go ahead. Okay, so when you have the video, you could try your hands on, because if you are going to wait for everyone, we are going to waste much of our time. Alright, so I will take us through the Anaconda and also the code lab. Okay, they are very similar. So I'll start with the Anaconda. Okay, so this is Anaconda. So when you open it for the first time after installation, you'll find a lot of softwares like Data Spell, Anaconda Notebook, command prompt, Jupyter Lab, and a whole lot of them. But what we are going to deal with is notebook, this particular guy over here. Okay, we are going to deal with notebook. So if we have been able to install the Anaconda, you click on launch and it will open your browser to a screen like this. Okay, a screen like this for you. So what I'll do is I'll create a folder. Please don't follow me. Don't do what I'm doing. I just want you to understand. Okay, I'll create a folder. So let's say inside my document. Then what I'll do is I'll create a new folder over here. So when I go to new over here, new folder, then it's here. Then I could rename it. Okay, I could rename it. How do I do that? Alright. So what I'll do is I'll go to the manual way. I'll go to the manual folder. Then I'll find it here, which is new folder inside document. Here is it. So I will rename it to, let's say, DS. That is data science. Okay, but I'm not saying you should do this, but I want to show you. So I'll name it to DS. That is data science. Then when I come back, go back to the document, I could find it DS. So I'll open it. Now we are going to create our first notepad or notebook. So all the codes we are going to write it in a file called notebook. Okay, so how to do that? You find beside the upload. Okay, we could upload our notebook, but we are beginning it for the first time. So we go to new, then Python 3. Okay, the kernel. So click on that one. It will open a new tab. Then we have a fresh notebook. So we are going to take an overview of that. Okay, we are going to take an overview of that. This thing we are looking is a very powerful thing. This thing we are looking at is a very powerful thing. Sorry, there was a call that was coming through. So this tool we are looking at is a very powerful thing. It can do a lot of stuff that we are going to appreciate. Now we have some bars and some tabs and some cells here. I'm going to explain what each one does. So we have the file type, which we can create a new notebook. We can open a notebook. We can make a copy of a notebook. Then we can save as, we can rename, save, checkpoint. So this particular one, maybe you are working up to a point, you want to save it to that particular point. Okay, you can revert back to the point the last time you did. You can print a review. You can download your work as ASCII, HTML, LaTeX. So those doing masters, okay, or in academia, mostly we use LaTeX for our staffs. You can use PDF. You can do it RESTful API and a whole lot. Okay, then you can close or halt the notebook. Then we also have edit. We can cut a cell. We will look at what a cell is. We can delete a cell, undo. We can split. We can merge, and we can make a whole lot of these stuff. So this is not ICT 101 that I have to take you through everything. Some of these things, when you see it, you should be able to identify. Then we could have view, toggle a header, and those stuffs. We can have insert cell above and below. We will take example of each of these features. Then we have cell. So the cell too, that's why I was talking about. We are going to look at it. And the most important thing here is the kernel. Now, please take note of this. Every notebook runs on a kernel. Okay, it is the kernel that allows us to run the code. So if the kernel shut down, we cannot see the output of the code. Sometimes the kernel will delay. We need to restart the kernel. So you see, we have interrupt, restart, restart and clear output, restart and run, or reconnect, shut down. Okay, so we will look at scenarios where we will use them. We have widgets, then we have help. Now over here too, we have some icons which is the same as file, save and checkpoint. Okay, this is the shortcut for it, the icon. Then we could add a cell to the next one. Hold on my PC. Yeah, so we could add a cell, we could cut a cell, a selected cell, then we could make copy of a selected cells, then we could paste them, we could move up and down, then we could run. But I'll give you the shortcut of run, then also we could stop. Now this is a cell, this guy here is a cell, so we have one cell. Now cell is where we write our code. Okay, but we can do three things in a cell. We can run code, we can write a markdown. Okay, over here we can write a code, we can write a markdown, we can write a heading or a raw MB convert. Mostly we don't do that. So it's a code, a markdown, and a heading. So I'll take example of each. Now code is basically the Python syntax, and a markdown is just a reminder that we give so that we could remember this portion of the code does this. So for example, we've not started learning, but this is so basic. I could say x, okay, as a variable is equal to 5, like this. X is equal to 5. Then I could run it here. Now the cell has moved to the next cell, so I have two cells. Now if I say print the value of x, okay, then I run it again, I'll get 5 over here. Now because I'm dealing with what? Code. So you see the cell is what? Code over here. Now if I come to the last cell, which is this one, and make sure before you can run a cell, make sure the cell is active before you can run it, and it's always green. You could see the bar here is green. That means the cell is what? Active. Now if I want to make a markdown, I could select from here, then select markdown, then I'll say I'm talking about dictionaries, like this. Then when I run this, I'm going to get something like this. Okay, it's like a comment. Now I could edit it again, but if I put hashtag before it, it becomes bigger. Then I'll run it again. So it does not have a direct resource, okay, an output. It's just a reminder that we are going to look at. Okay, so we have code and markdown. Now the next one is heading. So this one is more bigger than the markdown. Okay, so it says that Jupyter no longer use special heading cells. Instead, write your headings in markdown cells using the hashtag characters. So that's what we did. So the heading and the markdown, they are very similar, but just that with the hashtag it will make the heading so big. So this will lead us to our first lesson today. Today we are going to look at data type. Yes, Amana sent it to me. Alright, please, I'm going to send a picture on the page right away, which was supposed to be before. It was supposed to be before. We are going to look at what I'll tackle today. Basically, we'll look at data types for today. Yes, go ahead. All right, true. I'll do that. Yes, I'll do that. All right. So today we are looking at data types. All right, data types. So let me switch to the code lab. So this is a fresh code lab. Okay, good. So it has almost the features of the anaconda. So this is a cell. Okay, it's an active cell. So likewise, you could add cell. When you click on this plus, it will add another cell. Okay, then this one, it will add a text. Okay, which is the heading. So instead of doing hashtag, you don't need to do that. You can put whatever you, let's say numbers here, then you can make it bold, italic, and make it a code or whatever. You can add a picture and a link like the basic Microsoft Word. So that's how that one also works. So for example, I could say x is equal to 5. Okay, then I'll hit shift and enter. Okay, it will run it. You could see it is running. So the disadvantage is that it will take time to run because it's on the internet, right? So when that is done, I could say print parenthesis, then I will say x. You see, it's taking time to run. All right, so there's an error because of case sensitive. It's supposed to be small x. To run it, you use shift and enter. Okay, it will run it. So since we are holding the value of x is only holding the value of 5, we could print the value. All right, so I'll be changing from here to here, but I'll be starting with the anaconda. So I'll go back. Today we are going to look at these things. I've sent the picture on the page, right? You could check it. We are going to look at data types, which is always the gateway to programming. In almost all the programming, that is what you will start with. So I'm going to make a markdown. Okay, so I'm going to make a markdown. Then I'll put hashtag. Let me make it big. Then I'll do data type, all caps, data type. Okay, good. Then I'll run it. You see that I click on this button or press shift and enter. Then I'll do another markdown. Okay, make sure you change from code to markdown. Then I will say numbers. Okay, what am I doing? I'll say numbers. Then I'll press shift and enter to send me to this guy. Then I could edit this guy. So from numbers, we look at strings. We look at strings. Then I'll add another markdown here. So from string, we look at string formatting. It's supposed to be string formatting. So it's a mistake over there. String formatting. Maybe we might not be able to look at all of them today, but that is basically the agenda. String formatting. Then we look at list. Okay, we look at list. Now I have to change this to markdown. Good. Then we look at dictionaries. Dictionaries. I have to change this guy to markdown. Now when I'm done, you understand why I'm doing that. Then we look at our very own friend, booleans, which we use in our daily lives. Booleans. Then we will look at the last one, which is tuples and sets. For sets here, everybody has done it in commas. It's a very similar concept. All right, good. So now I have these markdowns. I did this because I want every code to go under the markdown. So we are going to start with numbers. Okay, now before that, so what I can do is that this is Excel. Remember, it's a markdown anyway, but it's still a cell, because look at this blue line over here. Each one of them is a cell. So now we can be moving from one cell to the other, either at the top or at the bottom. Now if you want to come to the bottom, we could use this sign, this icon here. So you could see move selected cells below. Have you seen? We could send it up that way. Okay, now we could also come to insert. Okay, insert cell below. So now I've inserted a cell below the numbers, which is a markdown. It's a cell, but a markdown cell. So now I've inserted a code cell. So check here, we have code over here. Now we are going to look at what we call variables. Okay, variables. Now variables are containers that stores a value, or that holds a value, and that value can be changed at any point in your program. I'll take that again. Variables are values, or are containers that stores a value, and the value can be changed at any point in your program. Now let me demonstrate that. I can have x as a container, and I'll assign it to the value of 10. So x is equal to 10, right? It means that, so this capital X, let me make it a small x. So small x is equal to 10. Okay, so it means that if I say print x, now remember the print here is a function. I will explain more when we get to functions. It's a function that shows something to the screen. It displays something to the screen. So if I hit shift and enter, which is run, okay, I'll get the value of what? 10. So it's what? It defines the first part of the definition as a container that holds a value. So the x here is holding the value. Now let's look at the other part of the definition, which says that the value can be what? Change. Now over here, I could come again and say x is equal to 20. Then I'll print x again like this. So when I run it, I have 10 and 20. Initially the value was 10 and I printed it 10, and now the value has been updated. So I said x is equal to 20, then I print it. So this also explains the latter definition of what a variable is. So it's a container that holds a value, and the value can be what? Changed. Now in every programming that you are going to learn in future, you are going to learn variables. So when you understand it here, it's going to be easier for you in other languages. You cannot go away with variables. Now we know what variables are. Okay, we are going to look at numbers. Okay, we are going to look at numbers. Now we have different types of numbers. We have integers, we have float, then we have we have integers, float, real numbers, and those others. But we look at the basic ones. Okay, So I'm going to say that x is equal to 10, then y is equal to 25.6. Okay, then I'm going to say 9 sorry I, okay, is equal to minus 9. Okay, good. Now I can print all of them, and so I could say print x, then print, let me do this so that it will be more easier for you, y, then print I. Okay, I have all of them this way. Good. Now I want to know the type of numbers they are. They are all numbers, but what type of numbers are they? Okay, so I could do this. I could say type instead of print x. Okay, now it's telling me that the type of x is integer, so I could probably do that type for y, then type for I. Okay, now if I do this, it is not going to show them, like it is going to show the first one, only the first one. So what I have to do is I have to print them. So put print before Alright, so I have leave this guy, the class something. So we have integer, float, and integer. Now negative 9 is an integer, but it's a negative integer. Okay, and 10 is a positive integer, and this guy is a float. So any number that has a decimal is a float. Okay, and you need to know all these data type in order to build an actual software or anything, because maybe if you are building a software or you are making analysis that deals with decimals, you cannot neglect it. You can have a very inaccurate results because of neglecting the decimal. So you need to know the type of data type what you are dealing with. So these are some of numbers that we have in Python. We also have complex numbers, but we are not looking at it. That is for higher scientific, but we are not looking at it. So we will look at these three. Okay, integer and float. Okay, good. Now if I copy this same code base, then I will paste it. Yes sir.
Yeah, sorry, about the point. So why are we opening one bracket and typing type and then open another bracket? Like why are we doing that for that reason?
So it's a very nice question. We need to do that because we are dealing with functions. Now when we get to functions, we will explain better. Okay, but then let me do justice to the question. There are some words in the programming language, which is Python, that are reserved, that we can use for something, but we cannot define it how we want. So the print, for example, okay, is a function in Python that we use to display something on the screen. It's already coded there. We can't do anything to it, and we don't need to do anything to it. All we need is to use it. So we are using it to display something on the screen. So it is because of the print that we can see these results. For example, here we said s is equal to 5. Print x, it means display 5, or display the value of x, which is 5. So the type 2 will give you the type of data type, right? So we just use it, but we are going to appreciate it more when we get to functions, when we create our own custom functions. All right, I don't know if that answers your question. So when you run this same thing in the code lab, you get the same results. All right, so I'll go back to our anaconda. So this is an example of numbers. Now let's go to string. Okay, so I'll make sure this cell is active. Then I could go to insert below. Okay, insert cell below. Now what I'll do is, we are still dealing with variables, but this time a string variable. So what is a string? Now a string is a combination of what? Characters. A combination of characters. Okay, so unlike numbers where we could say x is equal to 10, because Python as a language understands numbers or knows numbers, but it doesn't know characters. So for example, I could say G as a variable equal to, if I put, let's say, Amin, then I come and say that print Jane, I'm going to have an error. Okay, I'm going to have an error because it doesn't know who Amin is. So in order to avoid this, you need to put it in a quotation, either single quote, okay, or double quote. So if I say that G is equal to bracket open bracket close Amin, then print G. Since G is holding the value of Amin, this time we won't get any error. We have Amin. So string is either in a single quote or a double quote. So what we will do is, I'm going to show that G, okay, is equal to hello world in a double quote. Hello world, like this. Okay, then we are going to say print G. Then we have our hello world. Okay, so please, do you have any question related to this, or in with the numbers too? All right, since everybody is silent, means that you're all getting it. All right, and at the point, if you want to write something or code something, let me know and I'll go there, then we do that. So if you run this thing inside the code lab, um, over here, right, then we'll get rid of this guy, control V, then we could get our hello world. Now before I move, I want us to treat this. How many people are still here? 21. That's fine. I want us to treat this before we move. Or you let's go ahead. Let's proceed. Okay, let's proceed. Now I will skip string formatting. Then we'll look at all these ones. Then I'll come back to Python as a calculator. Okay, Python as a calculator. Then we look at how we can make multiplication, addition, division, and modulus, and the rest of this basic arithmetics. Then I'll come back to string formatting and string manipulation. Now I'm going to look at list. Okay, list. It's a very interesting thing. Now I'll highlight it go to insert cell below to get our new active cell, which is going to be a code. Now, what is a list? Now, for example, if we want to create a variable that will save the names of the people in a particular class, sorry, the ages of a people in a particular class. Let's say the name of the class is class 1. We want to save all the name, the ages of each individual in a variable. So what we can do is, if you are going to go the formal way, we are going to say name 1 is equal to 10. Then name 2 is equal to 20. Then name 3 equal to 30. So assuming we have 100 people in the class, we are going to be repeating ourselves up to 100 times. That is going to be a tedious way. The alternative we have is, we could have one name, okay, we're supposed to be age. Anyway, the variable doesn't matter. We can have one name equal to a square bracket, equal to a square bracket. Then we put all the ages there. So we are going to put 10, comma, 20, comma, 30, comma, 40, comma, 50. It doesn't matter the number, okay, as 1. Instead of going to list them one by one to the last one, the last person, which in a case is going to be difficult if the sample size or the numbers is so large. So assume you have 1,000 students in the class, you have to create 1,000 variables. But we could create one variable, then we put all of them in a what? Listed in a square bracket. Square bracket. Let me zoom my this thing a bit. Okay, it's a square bracket. So that is a list. So we are listing them. Now, the issue comes in when we want to print the values. Now, if I say print, which is a function to display something on the screen. If I say print name, it's going to print the entire list for us. That is cool, that is fine. However, we want to print only 20 from the list. We want to get only 20 from the list. How do we achieve that? Now, what you have to understand is, please pay attention. It's very essential. In programming, we start counting from 0. We start counting from 0. And when we want to start counting from the bottom, from the end, we start from -1. I'll take that one again. In programming, we start counting from 0. We don't start from 1. And when we want to start the inverse, we start from the bottom. Okay? We start from -1. So now, this one is in a position of 0. This one is in a position of 1. This one is a position of 2, position of 3, and position of 4. But if I want to start counting from here, this one is -1, -2, -3, -4, and -5. And each position is called index. Each position is called index. Now let me demonstrate. I want to print the number 20. Since we in program we start counting from 0, 10 is 0 and 20 is 1. Now, in order to print it, I have to say that, let me clear and start again. Print, which is to display something on the screen. So print name, then we'll bring the square bracket again. Bring the square bracket again. Then the position of the number you want to print, which in our case is 1, because what? We start counting from, so yeah, 0, 1, yes. Okay, then when I run it, I have 20, because this 10 here is what? Is 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if I put minus 1, so I put minus here and run it, shift enter, I'm going to get 50, which is the last number. If I put minus 2, I'm going to get 40. So if we are printing from the button, the inverse, we start from -1, but from the forward we start from 0. And one good thing about list is that you could have different types of data types in a list. Okay, in a list. So let's say I have all these ones are what? Integers, positive integers. So I could have a string here. I mean, as a string, it's a different data type. Then I could have 5.878, which is what? Float. Then I could have -9. Then I could have -3.9, which is a float. Okay, so right now if I say print -2, I'm going to have -9, right? Because I've updated the list. Okay, so that is list, what list is about. There are a lot of things we can do to list. We can remove items from the list. We can add items to the list, append, remove, and a lot of calculations, which we will look in our subsequent meetings. Now we have what we call dictionaries. Any question concerning list before I proceed? So if I copy this whole code, then I'll paste it at, okay, let me run it, shift enter, then I'll paste this guy, run it. Alright, I have this. Good. So those using the code lab, you could look at it this way. Then come back here. So we are looking at dictionaries. Okay, since nobody is asking a question, I'm sure you are okay with that. So insert cell below. We are looking at dictionaries. Now dictionaries are not too far from list. The only difference is that dictionaries have key and a value. A key and a value. With list, it only has a position or index. Okay, so for example, I could say that names, okay, equal to, now instead of square bracket we use the normal bracket. Okay, curly bracket, yes, that guy. Now we have key and a value. Okay, let me say names age. I could create a variable like this. It's allowed. We call it camel casing, names age. Okay, so I'm going to say that I'm going to give a string of, let's say, Amin. Then I'll give a colon. Okay, so Amin is my name, then my age, which is 71. That's not my actual age though. Then I'll give a comma, right? Then let me give a space so that it becomes more readable. I'll give another string, which is, let's say, Hassan, then colon, then 65, then comma, then I'll give a colon again, then I'll say Kofi, colon 43. Then let me add another 2. Then I have another one, Efia, colon 55, comma, I have Ama, then I have colon 33. Alright, so these are the values in the what? Dictionary. Remember, in dictionary we use curly bracket. Now it has a key and a value. So is here, the string here is the key, and the value is what? 71. Hassan is the key, the value is what? 65. So if I want to print the value, now instead of using index, okay, I could say print names age, right? Names age, then I'll put my square bracket here, okay, then I'll put like this, hit enter, then I have 71, right? So here, if we could see in the list, we have to put the position, the index, but here we are putting the key, then we get the value. So if I put Hassan, then run it, have 65. If I put Amma like this, I'll get 33. Now listen, Python is a case sensitive language. What do I mean by case sensitive? Now listen, Amma like this, it's not the same as Amma like this, and it's not the same as Amma like this. There are three different things. It's case sensitive. So the name we gave Amma here, capital A, small m, small a, if you change this to this, Amma like this, Amma like they run it, we have error. Have you seen? Amma is unknown. So unless you do it small a, it's case sensitive. How you define it, that's how you call it. Now, any question related to dictionaries? It's 9:11. Let's see. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've done the turn of printed it, but I think I typed everything wrong, but I've written the syntax error. But yeah.
Okay, is there possible that you could send me screenshots on WhatsApp?
Okay, I'll send it. Should I send it now?
Yes, do that.
Okay.
Please, I have a question.
All right, go ahead, Amana.
So, for the dictionaries, they don't have things for strings.
Come again.
They only use for strings and or anybody can go inside.
No, data type can go inside. Yes. So I could say that I'll clear and I put 88 here, right? So if I do 88, okay, I'm supposed to get a 71. Have you seen? So it can take anything. So even the 71 has the value. What I could do, I could change it to Boolean, which we are going to look at next. Okay, I still have true. Okay, good. So it takes any other how do you call it, data type, and we can loop through it. But since we've not looked at loop, I'm not sure we could do that. Please, hey, I have two numbers, and the other one is more active than the other one. Which is the other one, and which is not the other one? The one with the omojaye, that one is more active. All right. So that is dictionaries. Now let's move on to booleans. Please, Hamza, if you can send it to the group, you send it to the group. I will answer you from there. We look at booleans. Now it's something we have been doing in our life every day. Okay, booleans. Now, booleans have only two states. It's either is true or is false. It cannot be in between is true or is false. Okay, good. Now I could say x is equal to true like this. I could say y is equal to false like this. I could print x and I could print y. Okay, I have true and false. But permit me to do something over here for you to appreciate it, even though you might not be there yet. I'm talking about the absolute beginners. Some of you might know it, but I'm talking about those who have zero experience. Now, sometimes you want to make decision. We want to check a condition in our program, in our analysis. Okay, before we could run a certain code. For example, I could say x is equal to 10, y is equal to 15. Now I want to check that if x, which holds the value of 10, is less than 15, then a certain action should be what? Performed. Okay, so I'm going to say that if, okay, y is what? Less than, so if x is less than y, then colon. We've not got it if statement, but please just watch and understand. How you understand, I don't know, but watch and understand. So print let me put yes over there. Okay, now, so what we did is that we created a variable called x, assigned a value of 10 to it, created another one called y, assigned a value of 15, and we said that if the value, okay, the value of x, which is 10, is less than y, print x, which is true. Indeed, x is what? Less than y. Okay, that is fine. Good. Now what we will do is, I'm going to reverse this. I'm going to say that if y is greater than, if x is greater than y, which is false, because x is 10 and y is 15. So when I run this like this, I will not get any output because the condition is false. So this line here is a boolean because it depends on a yes or no. It depends on yes or no. You understand? So even if I clear this condition and I put true, if I put true like this, if it's true, print yes, it will print yes, because the condition that's supposed to come there is supposed to be a boolean. And if I put if false, print yes, it won't print it. So in a nutshell, that's how the boolean works. But you have to appreciate it more when we get to if statement. All right, so they have only two states, either yes or no. Yes.
Please can you go over it just while I find it?
All right, that's fine with the booleans. So I'll clear everything. I'll clear everything. Now, boolean have two states, either yes or no. It can be both. It can be in the middle. So I said x is equal to true. This is it. Only the first letter is capital. Then y is equal to false. Okay, only the first letter is capital. If you do all caps, it's wrong. Okay, now if you print it, you get the value. You get true or false. Print x. Okay, then if I put in y here, I'll get false. That's fine. Now, and I wanted to give you a real, if I explain this way you might not get it. Print true and so what. So I was giving you an example that, listen carefully. Sometimes in our program, in our analysis, in our estimate, in whatever we want to do, we want to make sure that certain conditions are satisfied before we can run that particular analysis. So for example, I could have x boolean, yeah, I see. I could have x is equal to 10. I could have y is equal to 15. Then I could use if statement. We've not done if statement, but appreciate it this way. So if, now when you do if and you give a space, the next thing that if is expecting is a boolean. So if I put if true like this, then comma, then enter, I'm expecting to print, okay, print, let's say yes, this way. So if I run this code, since if the condition here is true, I'm going to get yes. But if what I do this, if false, I'm not going to get any output because the condition here is false. You understand? So now more logically, I could say if x is less than 10, which is true because, sorry, less than y, which is true because 10 is being assigned to y and 15 is being assigned to, sorry, 10 is being assigned to x, 15 is assigned to y, which means that x is holding the value 10, y is holding the value 15. So if x, which is 10, is less than y, it is true, print x or yes. There you have it. But if I change it to, let's say, print, sorry, if x is greater than y, which is false because 10 is not greater than 15, you will not get anything. I don't want to move ahead with else statement because we have not gotten to else side. Now we are going to look at the last thing, or is that all? No, we have to look at tuples. Okay, we have to look at tuples. There should be a markdown. I have to add the hashtags. Okay, so tuple, these are tuples. So what I'll do is, now tuples are the same as list. Okay, it's the same as list, but the only difference is that tuples are mutable. Okay, that means that we cannot add something to it. So I could, let me go back to the list and I'll copy the names again. I'll copy the name, then I'll paste it here. But with tuples, we don't use brackets like this. We use this type of bracket. Is it the actual bracket? That's the bracket, right? We use this one, okay, to define our tuples. It works as the list. We could take the positions. I could say print name, then I could pick the second, which is 30, to give me 30 because 0, 1, 2. And if I start from the bottom, minus 2, I'm supposed to get minus 9. Minus 9 because minus 1, minus 9. Okay, now the difference is that you cannot add something to a tuple. So let me do this operation. I was expecting us to do it next week because I don't want to bore you down with it. So I could say name, okay, dot append, okay, dot append, let's say 233. Okay, then I'll run it. So when I run it this way, I didn't get any result. But when I print list, I have 233 added here. But over here there was no 233. So the append here means that add something to the list. I've added something to the list, right? It's an addition. Okay, then I could also say remove. Is it remove? I'm sure. Yeah, it's not remove. It's not remove. Name dot I forgot it. So append. If someone can remember, you could remind me. So name dot append 233 will add to the list. So even if I add 2 4 5 3, okay, it will be added that way. Good. Now, but if I'm trying to apply the same thing to a list, I will have issue. If I say print, okay, dot append then I put whatever here, then I run it, I'll have issue. It says that tuple object has no attribute append. So with tuples, when you define a tuple, you've defined it. You cannot add something to it. You cannot take something out of it. That's the only difference between tuple and a list. We can slice it. We can take something out of it. We can do whatever we want, but we cannot add. We cannot remove. So in programming, sometimes when you are dealing with softwares, we don't want the user to get access to certain information. Okay, maybe password or a keyword or a key phrase or whatever. Don't want the user to what? Manipulate it. Then you could put it into a tuple, because whatever comes inside a tuple can be accessed but cannot be removed, cannot be deleted, or cannot be added, but you can get it. So that's the difference between tuple. So I'll end here. Then tomorrow, next week, we will look at a lot of stuff. So this is a gateway. With this, we are good to enter into the world of programming. This is prelims. This is fundamentals. This is home match. Okay, yes. So after the meet, this I'll prepare. I've done it. I will share the PDF of this lesson with you. More explanatory than this. Then let me see if I can stop the active presenter. 1 hour. Wow.